Navigating government secrecy and freedom of information, what you need to know. Explore the complex balance between government secrecy and public's right to know, and discover how transparency issues impact democracy. The thin line between government secrecy and our right to know. You know, I was chatting with a friend the other day about this whole issue of government secrecy and freedom of information, and it got me thinking about how complicated this subject really is. On one hand, there's the need for keeping certain things under wraps, whether for national security, protecting sensitive operations, or even just bureaucratic-style confidentiality. But on the other hand, we've got ordinary people, citizens who have every right to know what their government is up to. It's this constant tug of war. Let's talk about government classified information. This is stuff that governments decide has to be kept secret to protect the country's safety or interests. It could be plans, communications, or intelligence about threats. But here's the tricky part. What exactly deserves to be classified? Often, there's a lot of government information secrecy that feels less about security and more about protecting political agendas, hiding mistakes, or outright deception. And that's what gets people frustrated. Then there's the whole concept of government document secrecy. Governments around the world have protocols to keep classified documents out of public hands, sometimes for decades. The Freedom of Information Act, FOIA, in the US, for example, is supposed to help citizens access government records. But there are plenty of exceptions and redactions that raise eyebrows. Every time you hear about a whistleblower or leaked files, it makes you wonder how much government information secrecy really controls the narrative we get. And let's not forget government secret policies, those decisions and plans pushed forward behind closed doors without public knowledge or debate. When secret policies affect everything from foreign relations to domestic surveillance, it challenges the idea of democracy. How democratic can we call a system where critical decisions happen in shadow without transparency? That leads right into government transparency issues. The complaints and controversies over just how open governments should be, and how much they actually reveal beyond the official PR. The balance between government confidentiality and the public's right to information is foundational, but hard to maintain. Governments argue that some secrecy is necessary, say to protect intelligence operations or diplomatic negotiations. And sure, that has its place. But transparency advocates argue that too much secrecy breeds mistrust and enables corruption. Imagine if you had no way to question government actions because everything was hidden behind layers of secrecy. That kind of opacity can erode faith in institutions and even threaten civil liberties. Pop culture, especially books and movies, loves to explore this tension between secrecy and truth. One gripping example is Hush, a psychological thriller of alien manipulation and deep state deceit. It's a thriller that digs into the eerie world of government secrecy with a twist involving alien manipulation and deep state intrigue. If you're into stories that mix suspense with questions about who's really pulling the strings, this book is a must-read. You can buy now an ebook, print, or audio and get drawn into the mysterious side of government secrecy. So why does this conversation even matter? Because freedom of information is what keeps governments accountable. Without it, you're left guessing about key issues like surveillance programs, environmental regulations, or foreign policy operations that might directly affect your life. Sometimes, the fight for information uncovers uncomfortable truths or sparks movements that demand reform. In the end, everyone wants a government that protects its people but is also honest and open enough to respect their rights. That means more whistleblowers, better laws for information sharing, and a public that's educated and curious enough to demand answers. It's a complex dance, but a necessary one to keep democracy alive. Anyway, next time you hear about a new leak or a classified document released, remember, it's not just about secrecy, but the larger story of who controls information and how it shapes the world we live in.